Welcome to Straight Shot Politics. Each episode will bring you in-depth discussion with experts, community leaders, and analysts who will share their insights, experiences, and predictions. From local elections to global diplomacy, we'll provide you with the tools and perspectives you'll need to navigate today's real-world landscape.
Welcome to Straight Shot Politics, coming to you from the MEC TSC studios. I'm Lisa Chafee.
I'm Josh Cease.
I'm Michael Nash.
And tonight, I'm very happy to say that we have an old friend, somebody who I've spent probably at least a half dozen election nights with, either on the radio or talking to, and that is Republican strategist Bob Clegg. And Bob, it's really good to talk to you. So you're probably bored. There's not much going on.
Yeah, really. Tell me.
So what's going on right now with you? And I know you're up in Delaware tonight for a meeting and endorsements, and everything's going just perfectly smooth, right?
We've had some political rumblings going on up here in Delaware County now, and specifically with one of our Board of Election members. And it's gotten a little play in the news lately.
Just a little bit. I know the Dispatch picked up on it. The Cleveland.com picked up on it. It's all over social media. So I don't think we have to get into naming names, but just give us the rundown of it.
Well, I used to be an Assistant Secretary of State under Bob Taft, so I know a little bit about election law, but probably just enough to be dangerous. What happened was a member of the Delaware County Board of Elections ended up voting on whether one of her opponents would be on the May primary ballot or not, which was an obvious, conflict of interest. Took a vote. It ended up 2-2 tie. And of course, in 2-2 ties, that goes to the Secretary of State's office for the Secretary of State. He came down, instead of breaking the tie, he sent down a ruling saying that the board member that voted shouldn't have voted, and that the other three board members needed to vote on the issue of whether the candidate should be placed on the primary ballot or not. And that's what was done today.
Yeah, it was actually an emergency meeting that the Secretary of State told them to take care of. Yeah. So I received a copy of a letter, actually, that Senator Andrew Brenner and State Representative Beth Lear, along with chairs of 3 other county parties, sent to the Secretary of State on this specific issue. And they referenced Ohio Revised Code 3513.31. Boards are charged with determining the sufficiency and validity of petitions, but their decisions are subject to review by the Supreme Court of Ohio. And so to set the stage a little bit more, Rebecca Norris is running against an incumbent for State Central Committee. Her petition was voted on, it was accepted, and then it was found that there was a clerical error, and that was rejected. She appealed, and it was during that appeal process that the one Board of Elections member, which happens to be her opponent, voted to not accept her and keep her off the ballot. So my understanding today is they had that emergency meeting, and Rebecca is staying on the ballot.
Yes, it was a 2-1 vote to allow her to stay on the ballot.
Right.
So that has been resolved. We have another issue, though, with the same board member, and we had a complaint filed with the Board of Elections saying that board member is not truly a resident of Delaware County.
Correct.
That was another vote that she couldn't vote on. So the other 3 members voted. 2 members abstained on that vote. So therefore, there was not a quorum, so they couldn't hold a vote. And it's my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's my understanding that then that whole issue then goes before the court.
It goes to the Ohio Supreme Court.
Yeah. So I guess they'll be deciding on residency or not.
Yep. And what's interesting, Bob, did you know that Representative Brian Lorenz, who is good friends with this particular board member, has introduced a bill to allow Board of Election members to attend meetings remotely?
Yeah, I wonder why.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and also talking about state reps, State Representative Mark Heiner also was on that letter with Senator Brenner.
Yes, he was.
And also Representative Lear. So you had 2 of the 3 state reps and the state senator from that district that was on that letter with the 3 county chairmen.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting.
Bob, I want to.
Yes, it is.
I want to get into just we're dealing with things on local level, and I don't think it's just Delaware County, although that one stands out for us, but all across the state. I don't. It feels like there is some sort of internal civil war, if you will, within the party, or at least a battle between people who are the ideologues versus the people who may be self-serving. This is a gubernatorial year. This is a huge year. This is statewide offices year in Ohio, and I just your thoughts on all this kind of back and forth, because I know right now love them. I do not love them, but right now the Democrats are unified in whether their message is going to go or not is one thing, but they are like lockstep in order with each other, and we're having kind of these petty battles. I just time's ticking here, Bob. We got what 7 months, 11, 8 months left.
Yeah. Josh, I will argue with you. The Democrats are not that united, okay? All you got to do is look at this primary that happened this past Tuesday in Texas with Tallarico and Crockett. Look at the Senate primary that's going to occur in Maine between the Nazi Plantner and the Governor Mills. The Democrats have their own battles. It's the leftist progressives against the establishment party. Okay. And we don't have that we kind of had that. And in politics, the one thing that always seems to happen is the more success you have, the more internal battles you have. And here we are on a federal level, we control the presidency, the House, and the Senate. Here in Ohio, we control everything except for one Supreme Court seat. And I'm telling you, that happens every single time in politics. Once one party gets to be so successful, you start getting the internal battles because there's something to fight over. You've got all this power, and everybody wants it. So you start having these kind of battles. Now I'll tell you, here in Delaware County, the battle that has been going on for the last 10 years. This is nothing new. You had two distinct sides going after each other, and the one side finally was able to take control 2 years ago. So, but they've been battling for 10 years, so it's not anything out of the ordinary.
Bob, I have a theory on the situation with the Democrats who are typically in lockstep, and then Republicans who are seemingly not in lockstep. And I think what that is the Democrats are like sheep. So somewhere they have a supreme being. There's some sort of message that's coming down to them via, text message or via, carrier pigeon or something like that. That's telling them to do all the same thing and behave a certain way and act a certain way. But Republicans don't have that. We're more principled. We more think for ourselves. And therefore, when we have that difference that we think for ourselves, then we typically tend to be more independent. And of course, I look around just in our basic environment ecosystem. There are so many folks that are a little different that we, if we were told that they have the same view or same thought, we're not going to do it. So I think that's the main difference. And what you're saying with Crockett and other crazy Yahoo, what's his name in Texas, that's just an anomaly, you know?
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head when you use the word principle. The Democrats really don't stand for anything. All they care about is power. That's it. They don't care about anything else. You see it election after election. Like Barack Obama was, quote unquote, against gay marriage when he ran for president in 2008. Well, that usually would be something that Democrats would be screaming and yelling about. But you know what? It was, he's against gay marriage, wink, nod. Okay.
Right.
They thought, oh, he really isn't, but he needs to say that to win. And that's all they care about.
And nobody's talking about Big Mike.
Yeah. They don't care about how they have to win, whether it's letting illegals vote, whatever. They don't care. They just want to win. And they'll do anything to win and gain that power. We, on the other hand, actually believe in things. And we want certain things implemented. And we get very frustrated when we control everything and we're not getting what we want. And that's what starts these internal battles. Whether it's, Mike Johnson or John Thune not getting something through the House or the Senate, whether it's Mike DeWine going off and vetoing something or talking about Haitians in Springfield, it's, we don't get what we voted for, and people get mad about that. And that's a problem because this election this year, the midterms, is going to be all about turnout. And if we have people that are upset with the direction of the party and what's happened in Congress or here in Ohio, they're not going to come out and vote. And that's going to be a big problem.
Well, that's what happened a few years ago when we were supposed to have that big red wave.
2022.
And Republicans just stayed home. And I think some of that is Republicans are lazy voters. Franklin County has some of the most... Go ahead.
No, our whole base has changed in just 10 years. Usually it takes a couple generations for party bases to change. And it used to be that we were the party that our people always showed up. We didn't have to worry about getting them out because they were older, they were invested in the system. Democrats were the ones, whenever, we always were happy when it rained on election day because we thought, that'll discourage some of the Democrats from voting because their voters were so marginal. They weren't motivated. And you know what? We've got those people now.
Because sometimes the rest home doesn't always have a bus that takes them to vote, and the Democrats have a good ground game.
Yeah, and it was proven in 2024. They did analysis post-election, and they said, you know what? If the voting electorate had expanded and included like 5 million more voters, Donald Trump would have won by even bigger margin. Okay. Well, 20, 30 years ago, that was never the case with Republicans. But we've become the working class party.
Yep.
The Democrats' base now is rich, white, old people, liberals. This is totally, it's flip-flop totally on who's the base of each party. And we suffer because of that now. Because we're going to be the ones that don't do as well in these midterms when the electorate is smaller.
Yeah, Bob, you nailed it on the head. I mean, my dad growing up, he's Catholic, old school John F. Kennedy, Catholic, working class Democrat. He had no college education.
Yep. My dad too.
Now my dad, my dad has said, I didn't go anywhere. I did not go anywhere. The Democrat Party left me. The Democrat Party, remember when, what was it, so smug when, what was it, in 2016 when Hillary Clinton was talking about, all the Pennsylvania coal workers that were going to get laid off? Oh, well, I guess they should just learn to code. That smug dismissal of guys and gals that get their hands dirty for a living, working class people.
Yeah, because they're all stupid people. That's what they think. You're all just stupid. We know better. We'll tell you the way things should be because we know better because you're too stupid. That's Democrat liberal attitude with the electorate in general.
There we go. Blacks can't get their own ID to go vote.
Well, and one thing that I've noticed about Republicans is they get focused on one issue. If their candidate votes one time on something they're totally against, and I'm going to use Congressman Mike Carey, who supported the Gay Marriage Act. So many of my friends said, no, I don't like him anymore because he supported that. I shouldn't say so many, just a couple. But we have to look at the big picture. You can't just pick out one thing. And it seems like where the Democrats have gone too far left, we've got a faction of Republicans who are going too far right.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, there are gay Republicans. It's not in your interest to tell them that to deny them.
There's gay Republicans. There's atheist Republicans. There's Republicans that don't like the Second Amendment. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, Bob,
it's all about winning. It's all about winning.
Yeah.
And that's my business. Yeah, and I know I come at this from a biased perspective. But I don't care about anything but winning, okay? Because I know I don't care who my candidate is on the Republican side. They're going to be better than that Democrat. There is no Democrat running for anything this year that would be better than the Republican. I'm telling you, that's fact. And people got to understand that because that's all that matters.
So worst case scenario, God forbid, we end up with Amy Acton as governor. What does that mean for us?
I hope not.
Well, anything can happen.
Oh yeah, anything could happen. But I'll tell you what, I've been in this business way too long. When I first started out back in the 1980s, if there was a Democrat running statewide and you would have told me, yeah, that Democrat's going to lose Mahoning County, I would say, what? You're nuts. But we're at a point now, things have changed so much with our base and our party that a Democrat, and that's why Sherrod didn't win and hopefully won't win this year. He didn't win 2 years ago because Sherrod never ran statewide where he lost Mahoning County. Guess what? He lost Mahoning County in 2024, and sure enough, he lost. For the Democrats to win, they have to jack up their margins in the urban counties, and I'm telling you, they're having a problem in the African-American community with getting turnout. They had it in 2024, and I don't see anything happening this year that would motivate African-Americans in Cleveland or Columbus or Cincinnati or Toledo to come out and vote. Amy Acton is not exactly someone that could motivate an African-American voter.
We're all in it together, Bob. Just you put on your mask and your cape, and we'll hold hands, and we'll end this. 2 weeks to flatten the curve, Bob. 2 weeks.
And look at the last time. Look at the last time what happened when we told black people what to do.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing, and sure, the Democrats going to get what, 90, 85, 90%. Now, they didn't against Donald Trump, but I mean, in a typical statewide race here in Ohio, they'll get that. But you know what? Their vote, and I watch it because what's great about like Cuyahoga County Board of Elections, they do real-time voting. They will show you in real time what the numbers are of voters in each of their precincts, okay, in Cuyahoga County. On Election Day, I'm the biggest nerd. I'll sit there and I'll just watch that because I can tell, I know the wards that are African-American up there and ones that are not. And you can look at the percentage of people who at that time have already voted in that precinct. And I saw it in 2024. even with Kamala Harris as their nominee, they just did not. I mean, the African American wards maybe came in at 40% turnout. Well, the white areas were coming in at 65, 70%. Okay. Well, when you got that kind of a gap on turnout, Democrats got a problem.
Bob, I wanted to ask you about what are your thoughts on how Vivek has run his campaign? It seems like, and we were having a discussion before the podcast started. He seems he's very insulated, very protective. Like as a matter of fact, Lisa had been working tirelessly to get Vivek on the podcast with us, but she was informed that he won't be doing any podcasts or anything like that till the fall. I'm just curious, is there anything right now that you like about the way he's running his campaign? And if he were your client and you were his advisor, what would you change? I'm just curious as your thoughts on the way things are running.
Well, I just saw a video from him here at this Central Committee meeting that I'm at. He wasn't here in person, but they did do a video that was geared towards Delaware County, so that was nice. I think you can tell that he's never run before for anything. Now, he ran for president, but running for president is nothing like running for governor of Ohio. They're totally different animals. The one thing I love about him is the money. He's raising money like crazy. I love it. I mean, he is just a, fundraising juggernaut, I mean, he's just going like nuts. I think he had some missteps that occurred in the last year. I think that's made him and maybe his people a little more gun shy than they should be. But I mean, there were some mistakes. He made some statements that he shouldn't have made, and he paid the price for it. So I'm guessing that's probably what. And they also, I think, may have, and it may be that, you can think that Ohio's so red that you don't really have to do anything out of the ordinary to win it. So you play it safe and don't do podcasts until the fall, because that means you won't be making a mistake early on that might affect the campaign. You start playing it safe, and they may be playing it safe.
Well, I get that. And of course, he's got to win the primary first, which I don't see a problem there, to be honest with you.
He shouldn't. Yeah, he shouldn't.
Yeah, because I believe Casey Push was not on the ballot. He had some issues there with signatures. Heather Hill, I don't see the momentum there. She's a nice lady. Yeah. Kudos to her for stepping up and running. I just don't think this is the right time for her. I think she should have started smaller, city council, something.
Well, and because of his presidential run, listen, and Bob will tell you, he's been doing this for a long time. Name recognition goes a hell of a long way, and the fact that people know Vivek's name and may not, and probably don't know, most voters don't know who these other people are on the ballot. It's not like Vivek's going up against somebody like pick a big name in Ohio.
Here's what concerns me.
Jim Tressel, yes, exactly.
But here's what concerns me.
Come on, that's the only reason the governor picked him.
Well,
was to try to, get him as a potential opponent.
Yeah, for sure.
In that race.
But what concerns me is the amount of Republicans I've talked to and that I've seen on social media who are, God love them, they are devout Christians, and in their mind, they will never vote for a man who is Hindu because of the religious factor. How much do you think that's going to play into his chances?
That could be an issue. I mean, it could be. I mean, there are a lot of evangelicals that are struggling with that. Once again, though, let's think this through. How is Amy Acton going to be any better with religion, with abortion, with whatever else, you want to put in that category. I'm telling you, Vivek will be a hell of a lot better on abortion being a Hindu than Amy Acton would be, whatever she happens to be.
Well, she's performed abortions.
Yeah. So, I mean, these people got to get a grip here, and think about the long term. And I know it probably makes them feel better that they aren't voting for him, but in the end, you're producing a worse result in your religious principles.
Well, and that and the fact that, like, it's just, for me, I'm like, it's the last of a dying breed. I feel that are like that. That, like, I think the conservative movement, at least amongst, like, going all the way back to William Buckley and the theoretical, like, philosophical thing about conservatism is that religion really never played a part. These are real world practical philosophical ideas that we have, and it's a leftover from a relic of time where it's just, oh, he's a brown guy with a funny name who practices a different religion, and it's just, I want those people have got to evolve at some point. They're either going to evolve or die off, because that's just not the way the modern conservative movement. We are such a hodgepodge, and I think you kind of referenced that earlier. We are such a hodgepodge now. Look at the conservative MAGA movement, or the, call it whatever you will, the populist nationalist movement. Bob, there are people from every walk of life involved in it, and don't fall trapped to archaic thinking. That's what Democrats do. Oh, they don't like one thing about you. Boom, the whole, the whole ant colony comes to crush and kill you. We can't be doing that same stuff, Bob. We can't afford it.
Our tent has become much, much bigger. Okay. And that's why we are now much, much more successful in elections. If you look at just 50 years ago and look at, the House of Representatives, the U.S. Senate, governors, state legislatures, Republicans were not in a good shape at all. And it was because we were pretty much a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant party that belonged to country clubs. And that base was not very big. No. So we didn't win a lot of elections. But, thanks to Donald Trump and other factors, our tents now become so much more bigger. And here in Ohio, we control everything. When I started working at the State House back in the 80s, at the House of Representatives, we were in the exact same position that Democrats are in today, which was we had one Supreme Court justice. That was it. Robert Holmes. He was our only Republican. The governor, all statewide, the state Senate, the state House of Representatives, they were all Democrats. And for us to win, we got to bring in anybody that agrees with our principles.
So I want to pick your brain on another race that's happening in Ohio.
What?
We just had our endorsement meeting in Franklin County Tuesday night, and we had Jay Edwards and Christina Rogner, who are both running for treasurer.
They are both here in Delaware County right now as we speak.
Here's what's interesting. So Jay Edwards, member of the Blue 22, was endorsed by Vice President Vance and Senator Bernie Moreno, and Christina Rogner has been endorsed by Vivek. And at our meeting Tuesday night, Christina earned the endorsement by a huge margin. And what do you foresee happening with this?
Well, my concern in that race is the fact that Jay Edwards was such a householder supporter, Larry Householder supporter, and was involved in a lot of that House Bill 6 stuff. And, the Democrats are going to try to use that against John Huston in that Senate race. They're going to use it if Jay Edwards is our nominee for treasurer. I mean, we're talking treasurer, the people that is in charge of our money and keeping it safe, and I just think his connections with Larry Householder are problematic for a general.
Hey, Bob, there was big news before we came on tonight. It happened earlier this afternoon, but Kristi Noem out. Trump ousted her. And the two things really happen is that I've been reading. I want to get your thoughts on this because, talking on a macro national level here, this is a big shakeup. And Trump is claiming she lied to Congress, saying that he approved the $220 million ad campaign featuring her. And then also today it's coming out that there's a lot of smoke to the fire that her and Corey Lewandowski have been having an affair.
Josh, that has been out there for the last 3 or 4 years, please.
But I mean,
I was like laughing when it came out because everybody heard about it. At least here in Ohio, we all knew about it. But yeah, she just made one too many mistakes. And you know what? With Donald Trump, you can't do that. And she just, it was like the straw that broke the camel's back when she went before Congress and said what she said. And then we won't even get into the fact that her spokesman or spokesperson's husband owned the company that got the $220 million contract.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Security.
No way.
Oh gosh, yeah, and it's a company up here in Delaware County, Strategy Group. Yep. Tricia McLaughlin, her spokesman. Yeah, that's her husband is the president of that company.
Your thoughts on his pick for a replacement, the senator from Oklahoma, who's been a really good attack dog for President Trump?
Mark Wayne Mullen. I follow him on X. I love him. He seems so genuine, and in politics, it's rare to get a person that seems genuine.
He's not as hot, though.
He doesn't
wait a minute now. I have a different opinion on that. All right.
I was going to say, and I believe this with both men and women, that Donald Trump likes to pick people that look the job for him. And that means they're usually good-looking people. I mean, he's got a lot of good-looking people on that cabinet. And then he's got some like Lutnick that aren't that good-looking. But yeah, I sometimes worry about that because, look at Pete Hegseth. He's a good-looking guy, and he's Department of War. And,
watch him all day.
Yeah. So, it goes both ways, men and women. He's Donald Trump, remember, he's a businessman. And in business, you got to look the part if you want to make the deal. Okay. And that's why I think he's been so successful in both of his terms as president, in that he didn't come at it from the angle of most politicians, because he's not a politician. He's a businessman. And he handles the government like a business, which is what we always wanted.
Hey, Bob, I'll get you out on this. With the whole fight that had been happening, the back and forth with the Supreme Court over redistricting in Ohio, your thoughts on the congressional races this year? How is that going to impact it? And do you see any seats flipping one way or the other? Your thoughts on the just the ground game and what now that everything has been that we've gone through, where you see it shaken out?
Well, number one, the best news in all this is that I see no Republicans losing this year in Ohio. That's good news. I think of the 5 Democrat seats that we have, I only see 2 that are potentials. And what's interesting, you're already seeing this. Greg Landsman down in Cincinnati got a much more Republican district. And his statement on the president and the whole Iran bombing, I think he's also Jewish, which may play a part in this too. But he didn't mention Trump, he couldn't because he's a Democrat. He can't turn into Fetterman, but he said it was, a good thing, and that, we need to make sure that Iran never gets a nuclear weapon. And, he was fairly supportive for a Democrat. And, you know, you got to play the game once your district changes. The other one is Marcy Kaptur. And I know that well because I'm a Toledo native. And I think she's going to have a tough time. I mean, she's been there for over 40 years. She's in her 80s or late 70s at the youngest. It's time to hang it up. But this is the problem with D.C. You get these people in who have nothing else in their lives. She's never been married. She doesn't have children. She has nothing else in her life than being a congressman. So they just keep doing it until they drop dead.
Can't she like get a dog or something?
Yeah, really.
Well,
it's called getting a life in general, you know?
So real quick, speaking of the race with Marcy Kaptur, we've got, a three-way primary on the Republican side with Josh Williams, Megan, was it Sheehan?
Shanahan.
Yes.
No, that's the judge.
Homeland Security.
And then the other one I think is Derek Marin.
Yep, who ran the last time.
Isn't Megan?
Megan.
Yeah, isn't she married to somebody is she married to Corey Miller?
I don't know who she's married to, but she was part of DHS.
I don't know, but she worked for Kristi Noem.
Yeah.
Okay.
She worked, so I don't know if she's going to get any of the fallout from the Kristi Noem thing.
So what do you predict in that race?
Well, I think probably my personal opinion, and I helped his first campaign for state rep, so I may be biased, but I think Josh Williams is the strongest candidate. Derek Marin obviously proved this last time. He should have won, given how big of a margin Trump had in that district, and he lost. So obviously, if it was a great year and he lost, why would he win in a not so great year?
Yeah.
So,
Well, Bob, we want to have you back after the primary in May, and let's.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'd be more than happy.
Yeah, Bob, I appreciate it, and enjoy the chaos up there in Delaware County.
Have fun with that.
Yes, I will.
Enjoy that. Yeah.
Put your raincoat on before you go in the room there.
All right, Bob, thank you very much.
Really.
Appreciate it. GOP strategist Bob Clegg. This has been Straight Shot Politics.